We drove for hours. The five of us, Ryan, Jessica, Mark, Lisa, and me, we had seen a YouTube documentary about the famous suicide lake near a picturesque town. It was said that the lake was cursed. He pulled in his arms people in trouble, but we were there for the rare salmon that said, we lived in its depths, 3 times bigger than normal fish with black blood. Come on, it's just a lake, Ryan laughed as he arrived. What's the worst that could happen? I took the fresh air out, biting my skin, but my curiosity was piqued. The lake stretched out before us, its crystal clear waters reflecting the rising stars. We set up our motto on the wooden dock before jumping into a boat that was there and launching our lines. I felt something strange move beneath us in the water, but I didn't pay attention. The hours passed and we began to catch salmon, each bigger than the last. Then Mark, overflowing with excitement, exclaimed, I caught something huge. He was pulling on his line, but it was too heavy. The other boys came to help him pull, but our excitement gave way to confusion. The line seemed too heavy to be a fish. What the hell is that? The boys pulled the weight out of the water and we froze. It wasn't a fish, it was a hand. Pale, swollen, and terribly motionless. Drop it. Put it back in the water. Mark stumbled backward, his hand slipping from its grip and falling back into the lake. Panic is taking over us. Let's get out of here. I feel bad, don't I? We need to know what's going on. There's got to be something else down there before I can answer. The water around us began to boil as if something was stirring underneath. We rushed into the boat. I grabbed the oars, my hands shaking, and rowed frantically toward the shore. Others jumped too. Arriving in the middle of the lake, I looked back and my blood froze. A silhouette was swimming towards us at high speed, its head barely above the water, its long hair floating like tentacles, and its endless dark eyes fixed on us faster. What is this thing? I noticed the features of the silhouette. They were strangely familiar. She looked like Jessica, but distorted, her mouth stretching into a wicked grin. And then everything went silent. Suddenly Lisa screamed. I turned to see that the figure had disappeared, but the water was bubbling violently under Mount. The boat rocked and I lost my balance, falling into the icy water. I choked, the cold enveloping me, and my heart raced when something brushed past. I kicked frantically, reaching the surface, and saw the boat rocking dangerously as I reached for the edge. Hands rose from the water, grabbing my arms and pulling me to the bottom. No, as I was being dragged underwater, darkness surrounded me. But just before everything faded into darkness, I heard voices calling to me from the depths like an echo. Join us. Suddenly someone grabbed my arm and pulled me up. Ryan jumped into the water. We swam hard, struggling to reach our boat, and just as we reached for the edge, something popped up beneath me. The water exploded in splashes and I felt a force pulling me down. No, I shouted. My fingers brushing the edge of the boat as I was being dragged under the water. As I descended into the darkness, a hand came out from below, grabbing my ankle. I looked down and choked. It was Jessica's hand, but her face was distorted, her eyes wide and staring. I screamed desperately, clutching my throat, but Jessica's hand refused to let go. His eyes met mine, pleading but threatening. Joins us, repeated the waves, the words resonating through the water. I struggled against Jessica's grip, but the dark figure kept pulling at me, her smile stretching wildly, revealing rows of gleaming teeth. Suddenly, as I was about to sink for the last time, the creature let go of me when 5 salmon fell from our boat. I swam furiously to the surface. I gasped at the icy water surrounding me as I looked back. I clung to the boat, my heart pounding. My friends hauled me on board. Throw the fish, throw everything in the water. They followed my instructions, scared. We watched this creature, its face emerging from the water, but when we rejected the salmon, it disappeared. We gave all our strength to bring the boat back to shore. I ran to our car crying, without looking back. I almost died that day and haven't been able to get in the water since. A year after our father died, I was standing on the pier with my brother Noah. We had spent many summers fishing with Dad at this place, but last year he went there alone and never came back. His boat was intact, so was his equipment, but it simply disappeared without a trace. Do you think she's still here? You mean the fishing corner? No, the cane, the one Dad lost that summer. My heart sank. Do you really think it's still down there? Why not? Let's go see reluctantly. I followed him to the rocky shore, shivering as the waves lapped the stones. We walked for an hour, the rocks slipping under our feet. But driven by curiosity, look, Noah bent down, grabbing a clump of seaweed. There's something. My heart skipped a beat as I squinted my eyes out of the green mass. The handle of a fishing rod was clearly visible. Together we pulled, and with a snap the cane broke free, revealing its length and a shiny object. It's pate. Dad hated removing bait. We shot, but it was stuck. A fish was surely caught in it, thinking it was Dad's last catch. We pulled harder, and all of a sudden the rod came up with something else. My stomach got knotted. Attached to the cane was a swollen, lifeless body. I staggered back, panic rising in my throat. Noah dropped the cane, eyes wide. What is this thing? Before we could react, a familiar voice filtered through the sea air. Liam. Noah, help me. I froze, overwhelmed by disbelief. No way, it's Dad. He's still here. We have to help him. No, that's impossible. I cried out in fear, but Noah wasn't listening. He's approached. He needs us, Liam. We can't abandon him. Look, this sounds wrong. We have to get out of here. But my words fell on deaf ears. The voice became more insistent. Help me, I'm trapped. I felt the sand move beneath my feet as the sea came to life. Noah, it's dangerous, but he was already moving. Noah stops. I took off, fear gripping me as I watched the waves whirl around him as he sank into the water. Dad needs me. Suddenly the voice twisted, becoming darker, charged with a sinister tone that chilled my blood. The water bubbled as a dark shape began to emerge, something ancient and terrifying pulls you away from the water. I slapped him hard and he blinked, confusion replacing trance. What's going on? It's not Dad, it's something else. The voice roared. The waves suddenly grew, and I saw the grotesque shape of the creature just below the surface. The sand crumbled beneath our feet, and it became difficult to pull us to shore. Come, I cried. What is this thing? I didn't have time to answer. I pulled him back as the creature surfaced, revealing a mass of timescales and an insatiable end in its red eyes. It could be Dad. He's lying. He's trying to take you away. At that moment, I understood what was threatening us. A siren, a creature luring us with false voices. One bewitching but deadly being that our town's fishermen had warned us about for years. Mermaids were often described as beautiful women with irresistible ways. They attracted all sailors by imitating their loved ones before revealing their sinister nature. Noah shouted as I pulled him to the shore, but the currents were too strong and Noah remained hypnotized. In a roar, the creature emerges, revealing its true monstrous form to Noah. We must leave now. What if it was really Dad? I reached out to him. The waves rose. The voice of the creature echoed in my mind as we dragged under the water, mixed with sinister laughter. That's when the seawater submerged us. That's when I felt an icy grip on my ankle. My pulse quickened. It was the straw that broke the vase. As I struggled, the water dragged me to the bottom, swirling around my legs like hands grasping. I fought, but it was like swimming in sand. The water that was up to my knees suddenly became very deep. I saw the creature, its grotesque shape, half fish, half human, its eyes shining with a predatory brilliance. She let out a laugh that echoed in my mind, a cacophony of despair. My brother was already unconscious. The creature charged toward us, its mouth gaping with sharp teeth. I backed away, my heart panicked, but the hold of the sea was relentless. She pulled me toward the mouth of the creature, the very one I was trying to escape from. It was then that my feet found support on a rock below. This resistance gave me hope, and I fired, my brother and I, with all our strength. When I reached the shore, I dragged her farther, and the creature leapt to bite her feet. But something told me she couldn't stay on Earth. As I pulled my brother to safety, the creature stared at me motionless, then screamed and plunged back into the water. Maybe that's what my father experienced too. I just hope he found peace. I've always loved the peace and quiet of solo fishing, so when I decided to spend a weekend at Pine Lake, I was excited. I packed all my gear and drove for hours until I set up camp in a secluded corner by the water. The sun had gone down. I launched my line as he painted the sky vibrant hues of oranges and pinks, ready for a perfect night of relaxation. The darkness enveloped them, so familiar that it seemed natural, with the chirping crickets and the rustling of leaves in the wind. I sat there, lost in my thoughts, waiting for a touch. When I heard crunching in the bushes of footsteps, I turned around, suddenly turning my head towards the noise, and saw a man come out from behind the trees. "Mind if I join you?" he asked in a warm voice, but with some embarrassment. "Oh, right," I said, trying to sound casual. "I didn't think there was anyone else here. Most people avoid this lake," he said, sitting down a few feet away from me. He looked sturdy, in his 50s, with a shaggy beard and a worn flannel shirt. "My name is Dave Ethan," I say, feeling a slight shiver of discomfort rise through me. We talked while fishing, but I couldn't shake the feeling that Dave was watching me, his eyes often returning to the edge of the trees. "What are you looking for?" I finally asked, trying to sound relaxed. "Oh, I'm just keeping one eye open. You'd be surprised what's lurking in these woods," he said, his sudden, serious tone. "What do you mean?" I asked, my stomach knotted. Dave leans over. "You know, things are going on here," he says. "People disappear like that." My heart beats faster. As Joe McAllister says, he went out fishing one night and never came back. No trace of him, just his gear. He stares at me with a narrowed eye. "You're all alone here, Ethan. Are you sure this is smart?" "Look, I'm just trying to enjoy some time away from it all." I tried to sound convincing, but the words stung me. "Are you okay or just luck?" Until now, his smile did not reach his eyes. The lake does not give peace, it takes. It was too much for me. I felt a shiver run down my spine. "I think I'll go home now." "Not yet," insisted. He listens to what I say. The lake is alive. He knows you're there. I tried to ignore him, but the air was thick with tension. "Actually, I have to go." "As you wish." Did he shrug his shoulders? "But remember, it's not the fish you have to fear." Ignoring this discomfort in my stomach, I packed my things and left. The woods seemed darker, stretching with the shadow, disturbing me more with every step I took away from Dave and his sinister aura. I grabbed the keys and ran to my truck. My heart was pounding. I took one last look, and there he was, on the other side of the lake, his worried smile frozen on his face. I hurried, my heart pounding in my ears. The winding road to civilization seemed endless. I looked in the rearview mirror regularly, expecting to see him chasing me, but the road behind me was empty. Just when I managed to breathe again, I heard a noise coming from the back seat. I looked around, time stopped for me, my fishing box was there, wide open, but I had put it away by the lake. That's when my cell phone rang. I picked it up and found a message from an unknown number. "You shouldn't have left." A cold sweat beaded on my forehead. I replied, "Who is this?" Another message arrived. "I warned you." Fear invaded me. I stopped on the side of the road, panting. I looked around expecting to see Dave lurking in the shadows, but all I saw was me, the woods, and the headlights. Then reality hit me in the face. The knife, the way Dave was talking about the lake, his warnings, the way he was watching me. Anxiety began to rise in my body. I hadn't even had time to think when, in my rearview mirror, I saw someone, a man in the middle of the road, waving a shiny object. It was Dave. I braked hard, my heart pounding. I backed away slowly, ready to run away. At that moment, Dave came up and raised his hand, shouted, "You forgot something," by throwing something out the window. It splashed, landing on the passenger seat. I froze, realizing it was a bloody fish knife. "Now do you understand what I meant?" he cried. In the heavy silence, hand trembling, I grasped and observed the dark red spots on it. Was that a warning? No, it was a message harder than any blow. The realization hit me brutally without knowing it. I had entered much darker territory than I had imagined. Panic ran through my veins. I hit the accelerator hard, and at the last moment I dodged Dave to get back on the road, my mind boiling. I could not shake the feeling that a menacing presence was watching me, far more deadly than I could have imagined. I was approaching the town when I saw a police car parked on the side of the road. Without thinking, I swerved toward her and rolled down my window. "I'll Ilya one type in Pine Lake. He's acting weird and I think he's dangerous." The officer looked at me, shocked. "Calm down. What did he do?" I swallowed air to prepare myself, tried to find my way back. "He was talking about people disappearing. I think he's involved in something serious. You should check," I said. The policeman nodded, worried. "Okay, let's settle this case." I relaxed as he sped towards the lake. I continued to walk the 100 steps on the side of the road, trying to calm myself down. They put in what seemed to be hours, but the officers came back quickly. They looked dark. "We found him," Ethan said, one of them. "We arrested Dave, and it looks like he is not acting alone. There are hints of a more serious event, a few disappearances in the area." I felt my heart sink. It was a really serious situation. They weren't just dealing with a shady guy. In fact, they had uncovered a vast human trafficking network that used the lake as bait. They also took their cell phone number from the registers. "Thank you," I said, my voice mixed with relief and fear. I didn't know. While I was waiting for the police to take my statement, my phone vibrated a third time. I took it in my hand. My stomach got knotted. The message was simple. I read it in silence. "You think you're safe? You have no idea what we're capable of." A shiver ran through me. The operation wasn't just about Dave. It was a network far beyond my worst fears. They had eyes and ears everywhere, and they were still watching me.